Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the AZ Sports Zone, episode 29 on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Of course, I'm your host, Alden K. Today for episode 29, we're going to start it off with the Phoenix Suns, and we'll talk about the recent Suns hot streak. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. We'll talk about Devin Booker not being named an All-Star reserve. Got a lot to say about that. The Suns and the Hawks have discussed a trade regarding Yusuf Nurkic. We'll get to that as well. And with the Arizona Cardinals, we'll talk about Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell being elected to the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame. The Cowboys hiring Cardinals offensive line coach Clayton Adams as their offensive coordinator. And then we'll close it out with some college basketball. We'll talk about ASU, of course. ASU is taking on U of A tomorrow. They're currently 12-8 in the Big 12. And then, of course, with U of A, we'll talk a little bit about their hot streak. Caleb Love emerging as the future star. And they're currently 14-6, and we'll talk about some NAU basketball as well here on the AZ Sports Zone, guys. I'm your host, Alden K. Welcome to episode 29 of the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, big shout out to all of our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and of course, shout out to the IE Sports Radio itself. Another Friday, another day where I could come on here and talk Arizona sports. I always mention it. Great to be on here. And also, guys, make sure to check out our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Use the promo code. I know times are tough right now, guys. Prices are above the roof still, so make sure to take advantage of opportunities like this. Get 10% off when you use the promo code IESR. Make sure to check that out. And of course, guys, remember to follow the X account that I run for the IE Sports Radio, AZ Sports Zone IE, where I give my opinions on any Arizona news that breaks out, and I retweet a bunch of news, this and that. Make sure to follow that as well. And before we get to our first segment, Taryn Rodriguez in the chat. Thank you, Taryn. We will have an amazing show. Guys, make sure if you missed his show, make sure to check it out in case you missed it. He actually went live a few hours ago. So make sure to check out his show if you missed it. All right. So with that being said, let's get into our first segment. I've been talking about a lot of Suns lately. It's just, there's been a lot of news regarding this team lately. So, well, let's start off with the games that they've had lately. So the Suns, after a slow road a little bit lately, they have won 7 of their last 10 games. So they are somewhat getting it together. They actually have a late game against the Warriors tonight. And yes, I say late game. It's 8 o'clock for Arizona time. So 10 p.m. East Coast. And they actually have a back-to-back. They play today against Golden State, and it's in San Francisco, by the way. And then tomorrow they travel up north to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. So they got 2 back-to-back games, and they actually play Portland 2 straight times in Portland as well. But let's talk about their recent games. So they're coming off a loss against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The first half they actually had a very good game, and then they in the second half, which is what we see for the most part with the Suns, they tend to give up the lead, and that's just what they did. So they lost to the Timberwolves. They beat the Clippers, a game that I thought we were going to lose. They ended up beating the Clippers by 2 points. They actually almost blew a lead in that game as well. but they came out with the W. They beat Washington. They beat Brooklyn. They got their butt stomped by Cleveland, and then they beat Detroit, Washington, Charlotte, and Utah and Atlanta. So a lot of these games we were supposed to win, and some games we had an opportunity to win, and we just didn't. Um, Devin Booker has been playing a lot better than this past month or so. So it's good to see him playing good again. Kevin Durant is still looking like our best player so far, and we will be seeing him in the All-Star break here pretty soon. Which brings me to my next topic. Devin Booker was not named an All-Star reserve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the list of the All-Star reserves in the West, obviously, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So there's no escaping from the fact that Devin Booker has had kind of a down year. It still sucks he didn't make the All-Star team, especially with this list I'm seeing right now. So Anthony Edwards is a no-brainer, right? We all knew he was going to get in, whether it was as a starter or reserve. Anthony Davis, who actually has been playing pretty good this year, I'll give him that. He does deserve an All-Star appearance. Jaren Jackson Jr., I know Memphis is a good team this season. Obviously, because of Ja Morant, I haven't been hearing as much from Jaren Jackson, but I'm assuming he's doing great things for them this season. Alperen Sengun for the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are a very up-and-coming team right now, and he's a big reason for it. Jalen Williams for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Wembanyama for San Antonio, understandable. And then James Harden for the Clippers. So when you take a look at this list, there are a couple players I think Devin Booker should have been above, like James Harden, for example. Jalen Williams, maybe. Jaren Jackson's a close one, but maybe I'll give it to him. But how do you not? I mean, this is why I'm not really a fan of fan voting, because if you guys know NBA basketball, Devin Booker is one of the most hated players in the NBA, so that's kind of a down part for him. When it comes to fan voting, LeBron James, no matter if he ever has a bad year, he's still going to get in as a starter regardless. Like, examples like that. Steph Curry was a starter this year too, which even though the Warriors aren't really winning this season, it's Steph Curry. He's going to get in. So, understandably, when I say fan voting is not really the biggest support I give when it comes to the All-Star break. And if you guys remember, back in 2021, the year the Suns went to the NBA Finals, Devin Booker was also not an All-Star. Even you had guys like LeBron James and all these other players say that, why the heck is Devin Booker not in the All-Star game? This was the year we went to the finals. So fan voting has always been a little bit biased against Devin Booker. So at the end of the day, am I shocked he didn't make it? Not really. Not just because of the fan voting process, but also because he started off the season pretty bad. He has been playing really good these last couple months, but he had a terrible start to this season. He even missed a few games here and there. So I'm not surprised by it, but it still would have been nice. I still feel like he should have made it over some players despite how poorly he played at the beginning of the year, but I digress. Listen, and the All-Star isn't really as good as it used to be anyway, so it's whatever at this point, but whatever. So before I get to the trade deadline, because the Suns are a big name in the trade deadline, Ryan Dunn is named a Rising Star participant for the All-Star break. So it's actually kind of funny. At first, he was supposed to be playing the Rising Star game, but I'm assuming the player got injured. I actually didn't look to see who it was, but I'm assuming due to injury, Ryan Dunn has now punched his ticket to the Rising Stars game for the All-Star break. Now, this very, very good. Very good for the NBA to do this. Ryan Dunn, we drafted this guy in the second round. Obviously, he wasn't that big of a name, but he has been a huge impact for the Suns defense this season, even just as a rookie. Just as a rookie. He has been locking up guys like Luka Doncic at the beginning of the year. when we played the Lakers, he was able to, get turnovers off of LeBron a lot and Harden and all these other guys, Kyrie even. So I am very glad that they at least recognized this, even though they didn't recognize Devin Booker this season, obviously. They recognized Ryan Dunn's potential as a rookie. And obviously his scoring numbers aren't that. And listen, when you got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal on your team, I don't even know if I want to say Bradley Beal anymore because he hasn't scored 10 points a game anymore. But when you have at least those two players on your team, your scoring numbers aren't going to be that high, right? Even as a starter, Ryan Dunn's scheme on the Phoenix Suns is mainly just to be able to play defense in the perimeter and interior. 6'9", he can play defense anywhere against anybody. So I'm glad that he was recognized for this, and he is going to be able to play in the Rising Stars game. Pretty cool. So the Suns did find a hidden gem in Ryan Dunn, and it's going to be very interesting to see him in this game against all the other up and coming rookies in the NBA. So Terrence says I gave the NBA Dumb Dumb of the Week because of fan voting, and yeah, exactly. And listen, it's not just Devin Booker. Like, I'm not saying Devin Booker was the only one that got snubbed. I mean, Trae Young didn't make it. Trae Young did not make it, and he's having a better year so far than Devin Booker. LaMelo Ball didn't make it. So I mean, there's other guys that didn't make it. And when I get it. LaMelo Ball, his team isn't winning. He plays for a small market team, so I somewhat understand it. But at least vote for them based on their talent, not if they're winning games. So I just don't. Fan voting, I never liked it. I've never been a fan of it, and it's not going to change like anytime soon whatsoever. But at least we get to see one Phoenix Suns player in the All-Star game, which is obviously KD, and we get to see Ryan Dunn participate in the Rising Stars game. Pretty cool. Pretty freaking cool to be able to see that. So the latest on the NBA trade deadline, well, for the Phoenix Suns at least, obviously the Suns continue to try to trade a couple of their guys, starting off with the no other than fourth option center on our team, Houston Nurkic. So the Suns and the Hawks have recently discussed a Houston Nurkic deal, according to Dwayne Rankin, Suns insider. The details of it have not really been thrown out there as to who the Suns are asking for back. There was a report at first that the Suns were interested in Bogdan Bogdanovic, but Gambo, or was it Gambo, or it was somebody in the Suns media report that came out and said that is no longer an option. The Suns are not pursuing Bogdanovic. I at first thought it was going to be Nurkic for Clint Capella, but then I did some digging, or research, I guess, and apparently the Suns cannot trade for Clint Capella because Clint Capella has a $21 million contract, which is more money than what Houston Nurkic is making, and due to that stupid luxury tax ruler, dum whatever, we cannot make a trade for Clint Capella unless we give up Nurkic and another player, which obviously they're not going to do. There was another possibility that came out actually an hour ago that the Orlando Magic have been speaking with the Phoenix Suns regarding Grayson Allen and Houston Nurkic. So both of them. And they've shown, and they've also shown interest in Cam Johnson for Brooklyn. Okay, so the Magic, they're interested in Grayson Allen and Houston Nurkic, both of them though. So you would think if we trade away our most consistent shooter, we better get a good piece at least in return. Grayson Allen has been one of our best bench pieces since we traded for him last season. So if we are going to trade him, it better be for for something at least. I mean, there's there's a lot of decent talent that the Orlando Magic have. I mean, there hasn't been a report whatsoever of who the Suns are interested in regarding the Orlando Magic. But lately, it's been the Hawks and the Magic so far for Houston Nurkic. So with that being said, let's see here. Let me pull up the tweet just so I don't take anything off. Oh, and while I'm on the topic, Devin Booker is 91 points away from becoming the Phoenix Suns' all-time leading scorer. The current leader is obviously Walter Davis. But but Devin Booker is less than 100 points away after the game last night, as far as becoming the Suns' all-time leading scorer. So pretty cool. It's already been 10 years since Booker has been on the Suns. I'm getting old. And he's done a lot for Phoenix. He deserves it. Of course, fans don't like him, but hey, it is what it is. So I cannot go one episode without bringing up the Jimmy Butler trade rumors, okay? Because every single week, there's always some kind of Jimmy Butler trade rumor that includes Phoenix or just Phoenix wanting to add on to another team, this and that. There's always something. And it's kind of funny, but obviously you guys know the what's it called? The Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler indefinitely, so he has most likely played his last game as a Miami Heat. And the latest that came out regarding the Jimmy Butler trade rumors was actually as of, I think, an hour ago. So per John Gambadoro, who was never wrong regarding Arizona sports, by the way, he's never wrong. He made a tweet saying that it is not Jimmy Butler or bust for the Phoenix Suns. Okay? So a lot of people out there, they do think that Jimmy Butler is the only goal that the Phoenix Suns have. Well, it's not true anymore. The Suns are looking at many options to improve the roster, and chances are they do make a deal by the deadline. So chances are they do make a deal by the trade deadline. And this is from Gambo. I can't name a time Gambo has ever been wrong regarding the Phoenix Suns or any other Arizona team for that matter. So the Suns are definitely going to make a trade by the trade deadline. But the question is it going to be for Jimmy Butler? Is it going to be for rotation pieces, kind of like we did with the Nick Richards trade? There's a lot of options that the Suns have now that they traded for those 3 first-round picks from Utah. They have a lot more options now. They may have to throw a first-round pick into a Houston Nurkic trade because Nurkic's trade value has gone down drastically. There is not a single team out there that wants him solely when you make a trade. So that's what it may come down to. If it comes down to a Jimmy Butler trade, if the Suns are able to do one, then we may have to give up 2, if not all 3 of the first-round picks that they acquired from the Jazz a little over a week ago. Excuse me. So, I said this in my last episode, the 3 picks that they were able to acquire in that Utah trade, I hope they at least keep the 2025 first round pick and draft somebody, because obviously the Suns, they're looking like a retirement home team right now. I mean, if it wasn't for drafting Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro, I mean, our team would be filled with, veterans and everything. So our team is aging. KD is not getting any younger. Devin Booker is almost in his 30s. So while he's still in his prime, I want to see Devin Booker at least get another shot at reaching another NBA Finals and this time winning it. So I hope they at least keep the 2025 first round pick and they're able to draft somebody in this next draft and pair somebody up that has the potential to really get this team to where we want to be. So, because currently the Western Conference is not getting any weaker. I mean, I think we could all agree that the West is a very tough conference, and it's also very close. So the Suns are currently 9th seed right now. They're in the play-in tournament. But if they were to win 2-3 straight games in a row and rely on other teams to lose, they could get back in the playoffs. They're only 2.5 games behind the playoffs right now. And we still have, at least 35 games left, 40 games left in the regular season. So, and if you look at our up-and-coming schedule, I named a few of them already, but Golden State, a team that's struggling this season. You have Portland on a back-to-back, even though Portland has been playing decent lately. You also got OKC, very tough game. And then Utah, Denver, Memphis, Houston, San Antonio, especially because the Suns have a very tough schedule coming up. So they really need to start right now. If they're going to trade for Jimmy Butler or trade for somebody, they should, really I would hope at least get it done as soon as possible just so they have a better chance. Because listen, Jimmy Butler, while he does sound like a headache, Jimmy Butler would improve the Phoenix Suns. Okay, defensively, they need someone in the locker room that can, I don't know, give them a good mentality going into games because they don't really have that right now. And just adding on a guy that wants to be on the team. You guys forget Jimmy Butler does not want to be in Miami. He wants to be in Phoenix. So, of course, a guy that doesn't want to be in Miami, why would he, show up to games and this and that? I mean, obviously he's going to sound bad, but he wants to be in Phoenix. His agent even came out and said it. So, if the Suns get Jimmy Butler, we're not going to have those issues. But then again, I am not Jimmy Butler or bust either. I think that the Suns should look at other options. They shouldn't just go after one guy who, even though the Heat is lowering their value, they may have to give up a lot to get him. I would look at other options too. There are teams that will make trades with the Phoenix Suns for draft capital because the Suns have a few picks now. They could trade those picks as well. Obviously, the Suns don't own a pick until 2032. I'll be older by then. Yeah, there you go. Like 2032. That's the next time the Phoenix Suns own a first round pick. Or at least that's when their record determines what their first round pick is. All these other first round picks that they have, 25, 27, and 29, they have to rely on other teams in order to get a lottery pick or this and that. There's also a lot of pick swaps that they have as well. So regarding the Jimmy Butler rumors, latest update, it is not Jimmy Butler or bust. The Suns will look at other options. I'm glad they are going to do that too, because for all we know, Jimmy Butler might not get traded at all. He might stay in Miami. We'll see. Last topic on the Phoenix Suns is the latest on Bradley Beal. So the Bulls and the Suns have discussed a Bradley Beal trade with the Chicago Bulls. So obviously, teams, it's going to be hard for the Suns to trade Bradley Beal just simply by the fact that he makes $50 million a year to come off the bench and get injured quite frequently. So, but the Chicago Bulls have discussed, this was about a week ago, so maybe things have changed now, but they have discussed a trade with the Suns for a Bradley Beal trade. The Suns were one of the teams that were interested in Patrick Williams, who the Bulls made available for trade quite recently. But obviously, with that $50 million contract that he has, it's going to be hard to. We might not trade Bradley Beal at all. I don't think we're going to trade him, as much as I hope we do trade him. The Chicago Bulls, you guys got to remember too, they're a tough team to trade with. I don't think they've made a trade since the last time they went to the playoffs, which was, I think, 2020, 2021, something like that. So at least that's the last time I could really recall they made a trade. The Chicago Bulls, they're not really known for making trades like that, right? So I already talked about Nikola Vucevic, how the Suns can't trade for him because of the whole financial rule or whatever. So they can't get Vucevic. Chicago's not going to give up other players like Lonzo Ball. They are interested in trading for Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine for Bradley Beal, I mean, come on, what are we even talking about here? So with that being said, this goes all the way back to what was it called? The big rumor that in order for the Suns to get Jimmy Butler or whoever, whatever direction they go into, it's going to involve at least 4 different teams, maybe even 5. And maybe the Suns, and this is just a theory I have, maybe the Suns are talking to all of these teams to form a 5-team trade for Jimmy Butler and send Bradley Beal to Milwaukee, Chicago, whatever teams that are that had a little bit of discussion with the Suns regarding Bradley Beal. I think it actually came out and said that Bradley Beal is no longer going to go to Milwaukee. And there was a rumor that he said he was not going to waive his no trade clause for Chicago, but his agent came out and denied it. So, and Bradley Beal does have a say in whether he gets traded or not. So Washington Wizards, thank you so much for giving this guy a no trade clause. I don't know what team would ever do that, but because of that, Bradley Beal has a say in what team he goes to, and that could lead to the Suns not trading him at all. So that is a lot of trade rumors and a lot of trade predictions that we could make regarding that. But then again, at the end of the day, the Suns are going to make a trade before the deadline. We all know this. They've done it since Matt Ishbia took over the team, and and as I'm looking on X right now, there's actually an Arizona account that said Suns versus Warriors tonight on ESPN. Whichever team wins this game deserves Jimmy Butler, because I guess the Warriors and Suns are really the only two teams that are trying to get Jimmy Butler right now, or at least those are the only two teams that are really interested in him right now, or at least that's what it sounds like. But listen, I think they should focus on trading Nurkic first. Get Nurkic out of the way, deal him right away as soon as you can. There's teams that are calling the Suns to get Nurkic, so why not get it over with while you still can, and then figure out the Jimmy Butler situation, because the more they procrastinate on the whole Jimmy Butler saga news or whatever, the more players are going to get traded before the deadline and the less options the Suns are going to get. So that's something I hope they focus on, which is something they did not do last season when they literally waited until right before the deadline was over to make a trade, which the only trade they really made was Royce O'Neal last season. So playtime should be over. We're 9th seed right now, and this team on paper has a lot of potential, but they have not been living up to it. So with the talent we have on this team, we should not be 9th seed right now. We should at least be close to the playoffs. But like I said, the Western Conference is very close. So at the end of the day, if the Suns can go on sometime, and listen, they have been hot lately. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. So they could keep it going from here, win a few more games, rely on certain teams in the West to lose, then we'll be seeing them back in the playoffs soon if they can make the right trades and if they can get the proper chemistry going for that brand new team. So that is it for the Phoenix Suns. We talked about the Suns for over a half hour. There was a lot to talk about regarding the Suns. So some pretty good stuff there, though. But we are going to go into a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals under Michael Bidwell elected to the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame. And the Cowboys hiring Cardinals offensive line coach Clayton Adams as their new offensive coordinator. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. Here on the AZ Sports Zone on the ICE Sports Radio. What is that? Your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. If you guys are just now tuning in, we just covered the Phoenix Suns, all the trade rumors that are piling up, and of course the Suns' latest hot streak that they have going on as of lately. Hopefully they can continue to get it going. And by the way, guys, make sure to check out Mike and Adam's shows. Just played their video drops. Make sure to check out Mike's show for DMV Sports and Adam's show for Chicago sports, and not just their shows. Make sure to check out everyone else's shows as well. We got a bunch of good people on here that will give you guys updates on their teams, and if you're a fan of those teams, make sure to check them out. But with that being said, let's get into our second segment, the Arizona Cardinals. So yesterday, Larry Fitzgerald was actually the one that announced the news. Cardinals owner Michael Bidwill has been elected to the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame. Okay. See, it kind of makes me laugh because what the heck has Michael Bidwill done since he inherited the team from his father to get into the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame? I understand his family has owned the team since the 1930s at least or something like that, but and listen, he's the Cardinals owner, so I have respect for him. But at the end of the day, he doesn't know how to run a football team. So I guess by Arizona sports standards, he was good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. But it's, but Michael Bidwill is in the Arizona Sports Hall of Famer. He's been elected to it. I think it was pretty cool that Larry Fitzgerald was the one that made the announcement. Speaking of Hall of Fame, Larry Fitzgerald is actually eligible as a first ballot Hall of Famer next season. So, man, I'm getting old. It's Fitzgerald's Hall of Fame induction coming up pretty soon. So, listen, I'm happy for Michael Bidwill, I guess. I don't want to say he deserves it because, listen, their family has ran this team forever and nothing to show for it. So, hey, Michael Bidwill, I hope this really motivates you. Please start spending money on this team. Please. You have the fourth highest cap space in the offseason. You better at least spend half of that. You're a Hall of Famer now. So can you get this franchise to Hall of Fame worthy or something like that, please? That would be a very good start. But it's as far as the Cardinals go regarding the team, I know this news was pretty cool yesterday, I guess, for certain Cardinals fans that actually like the Bidwill family, but which I don't think anyone does. But anyway. But regarding the Arizona Cardinals, team-wise, let's get away from our ownership for a bit because I don't want to start cursing them out. The Cowboys are hiring the Cardinals' offensive line coach, Clayton Adams, as their offensive coordinator. So before I say this, let's get to the chat. I see Ralph is in the chat. Hey, appreciate it, man. Yeah, really appreciate it. Having a great show so far. And Larry Fitzgerald just had his Pitt jersey retired. Yes, he did. He actually did. Pittsburgh legend. And, since we're getting closer to the Super Bowl, I got to do it, Ralph. I'm sorry. Santonio Holmes did not get both feet down. Sorry, Ralph. But yes, Fitzgerald did get his Pitt jersey retired. So, yeah, he was inducted into Pittsburgh Hall of Fame too. So, yeah, Arizona sports. We got a lot of Hall of Famers going on right now, I guess. But back on the Cardinals team wise, they lost their offensive line coach. This was kind of surprising. This actually came out an hour ago, and like right before I went live, I was actually really surprised that the Cowboys hired our offensive line coach as their offensive coordinator. Uh, he was a good O-line coach. He turned one of the worst offensive lines into a somewhat acceptable offensive line. Obviously, developing Paris Johnson Jr., making Will Hernandez look good after a rough ending when he was in New York, turning Froholt into a starting caliber center, and of course with the young guys like Isaiah Adams, and having a veteran as a good backup, Kelvin Beachum. He did pretty good things with our offensive line, even though there were times Kyler Murray had to pretty much run for his life, this and that. But I digress with that. But I didn't think he was offensive coordinator worthy. I mean, he's an O-line coach. He's never been a coordinator. He never had rumors to become a coordinator. So this really shocked me. Now the Cardinals have to worry about hiring a new offensive line coach. So that adds on to another need that Ralph. Hey, I'm biased, okay? We're both biased. I Part of me just, oh my god, I'm still traumatized by that day. Anyway, back to Clayton Adams. But the Cowboys, they seem to be hiring a bunch of random people. I mean, Schottenheimer is their head coach, and now they have Clayton Adams as their offensive coordinator. So, Jerry Jones, thank you for taking away our best O-line coach, I guess. But hey, so the Cardinals got to worry about that now, which is another need along with certain guys on the defensive line, which I've talked about so many times. I can't recount. And by the way, um, I don't have a ticker up right now, but those were the only two tickers I had regarding the Cardinals, but I'll keep talking about them for a little bit. So it's already been confirmed that Myles Garrett is not going to get traded from the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, I kind of had wishful thinking that the Cardinals were going to at least go after Myles Garrett. Maybe give up a first round pick. I would give up a first round pick for Myles Garrett, but Cleveland already confirmed that they weren't going to trade him, so it is what it is. Same thing with Max Crosby. I don't know if the Raiders officially made it official and said they weren't trading him, but I did see a report that he was a huge fan of the Pete Carroll hire, and it seems like he is ready to run it back with the Raiders. So Max Crosby may not be available. There's so many guys that on the D line that are good on our team that are serviceable, but they're not. We need that first tier guy. We need that guy that can, get into double digit sacks. We need that guy that can apply pressure at least one time on every drive for, defensively. We need that guy that can get to the quarterback because we don't have that guy right now. There's so many guys that we could get or at least try to trade for, but it's just so unfortunate that our options are going down as far as the free agent market. And I know free agency has not begun yet. We're still a little less than 2 months away. So I know free agency is still a long ways away. Heck, we're not even in the Super Bowl yet. So there's still plenty of time for Monty Ossenfort to create a plan on to how he's going to build this team to where we want to be. We're improving though. We are improving. Jonathan Gannon, if it wasn't for that 17th game, he had a 500 season in his second year. He improved from 4 wins. We won the same amount of games this year than we did in the last 2 years. So we are improving in a huge way. Obviously, our recent draft picks in this recent draft didn't really live up to expectations. Even Marvin Harrison Jr. I know a lot of people are too impatient with Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think I said this recently, actually. If you guys remember, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s rookie season was actually better than Larry Fitzgerald's, statistic-wise at least. I know they had two different quarterbacks. I know Fitzgerald had Josh McCown's trash ass, excuse my language, and Marvin Harrison Jr. had Kyler Murray. So I know talent-wise they had different quarterbacks, but he had an identical rookie season to his father as well, and we all know what he turned into. So there is that saying that some people use, we do not count rookie seasons. At least that's what some people say. So um, be patient. Let's hope Marvin Harrison Jr. can clean it up in year 2. Obviously, him and Kyler Murray have a whole offseason to really get their connection going after not really being on the same page this season, along with the other receivers as well. Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Trey McBride had a career year. He's going to keep it going. And we will be seeing both Budda Baker and Trey McBride in the Pro Bowl in a couple days. Not that anybody really watches the Pro Bowl anymore, but still nice mention that we have Cardinals players representing. Ralph said it's a long time ago. Think of the future. You got to listen, Ralph. You got to understand, right? The Cardinals have no history whatsoever. They have a history of losing. They're not the Steelers, though. So sometimes their only Super Bowl appearance is the only thing I could think of. But yeah, James Conner is the best running back in Cardinals history. I will say that. Not that we haven't had that many good running backs in our history. We had David Johnson, who was supposed to live up to the hype, but didn't. Tim Hightower, who we had in the Super Bowl year, was pretty serviceable. We had Kenyon Drake for a decent amount of time for the time he wasn't injured, and James Conner has been the only consistent one that I can think of off the top of my head. So, yeah, James Conner. I think he'll be back next season, along with him and Trey Benson, who is also going into his second year. It'll be nice to see if they can improve quite a bit as a duo. We didn't see Trey Benson a lot last season. Hopefully Drew Petzing can really get it going for both of them. The Cardinals are a run-first team, so James Conner, let's run it back, get 1,000 yards again, and this time let's make a deep playoff run if we can continue to improve. Ralph says, everyone hit the like button, right? Exactly. Having a great show as always, and so that is all I had for the Arizona Cardinals, and we're going to go into another break. I know we just got back from one, but not really a lot of news regarding the Cardinals lately. Hopefully that changes. Same thing with the Diamondbacks. I got nothing for them today. Not really a whole lot of news other than Zach Gallen was recently pulled out of the trade rumors, so they're not trading Zach Gallen. So if there's any Diamondback news, that's pretty much the only one we really got so far. But we're going to go into a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to close out this episode with college hoops. We'll talk ASU basketball, U of A basketball, and Northern Arizona basketball. So I'll give a few updates on the games that they played. Not really too much there, just the fact that for U of A, Caleb Love is looking like a demon right now. But when we come back, we'll get to that here on episode 29 of the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. If you guys are just now tuning in, we covered the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Bidwell being elected into the AZ Sports Hall of Fame, and of course, the Cardinals losing their offensive line coach to the Dallas Cowboys. And with that being said, we will get into our final segment, college basketball in the desert. Start off with ASU because, of course, I am a Sun Devil for life. So the ASU Sun Devils are currently 12-8 in the Big 12 conference right now. They are coming off a very close win against the Colorado Buffaloes. They barely won that game, only by 2 points. They got demolished by Iowa State, who is ranked third, by the way, 76-61. And then they also beat West Virginia, lost to Cincinnati and UCF and Baylor. And so they started the season off very good, but lately they have not played the same way. So they won their last game, but they have been around 500 in their last 10. So they started off pretty good. It hasn't been the same. They're taking on U of A. Geez, I keep playing the wrong ticker. They're playing U of A tomorrow. So we got a duel in the between the two Arizona teams. U of A is traveling on the road to take on ASU basketball. Even though I love my Devils, the Wildcats are probably going to win that game, which, yeah, that brings me to U of A if I'm able to get this thing going. Okay, there we go. All right. So remember, y'all, we're talking all college basketball in Arizona right now. So basically, U of A, however, it's quietly been the opposite. U of A, I know the record, it says they're 14-6, but they've won 10 of their last 11 games. 10 of their last 11. So they're hot right now. They even beat on Monday, the 27th of January. They literally beat the third-ranked Iowa State by double-digit points. Caleb Love, by the way, he is emerging as a college star right now. Whichever team drafts him in this upcoming NBA draft, you're going to have a good one. Caleb Love had 22 points in that game against Iowa State. And then they also beat Colorado, who ASU also recently beat. And Caleb Love had 10 points in that game. So with U of A, the narrative has been Caleb Love so far. And speaking of that game against Iowa State, speaking of Caleb Love, technically U of A should not have won that game, technically. But Caleb Love hit a miracle half-court shot to send the game into overtime. And I remember when it first happened. I wasn't watching the game, but I remember when it first happened, it was literally all over the media. And they went on to win in overtime, and they went on a 15-4 run in that game. So it took a miracle to beat Iowa State, but they did it. And wouldn't surprise me at any point whatsoever if Arizona starts getting the ranking number on their team very, very soon. They also beat Oklahoma State recently. They lost to Texas Tech, and that was the only game that they've lost in their last 10. Other than that, they have won their last 10 games, aside from the Texas Tech game. So U of A, even though they started their season way below 500, well, not way below, but they started their season below 500, they're definitely taking over the storm of college basketball right now. And tomorrow against ASU, and it's actually a really early game as well. It's an 11 a.m. game. I do expect U of A to win this game, unless ASU it's that rivalry that kicks in and they just surprisingly pull off the upset. But U of A, obviously they're heavy favorites coming into this game. They should get the job done. And then they actually take on BYU after that, Tuesday, February 4th. I keep forgetting tomorrow's February. This is the last day of January. So as we head towards February basketball, we get very much closer to March Madness, which is honestly my favorite time of the year regarding sports. March Madness is honestly my favorite by far. So we're getting very closer to it. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see how ASU and U of A close out their season. So before we close out this this episode, crap. All right, there we go. We got to close it out with Northern Arizona. It's been a while since I talked to NAU on here, but NAU has actually been playing pretty good. Obviously, they're going to get recognized as much because the situation that they play in. But basically, Northern Arizona is 13-8, way above 500. They're coming off a win against Idaho, 80-72. And they're currently on a 2-game win streak. They've won 3 of their last 5. So they're a bend but not break kind of team. And for their last game, Campisano was actually the leading scorer with 19 points. So did his thing to lead them to a victory against Idaho. And they're taking on Northern Colorado tomorrow, and that is a 2 p.m. game. They take on Weber State after that. So they haven't played any of the Arizona teams, and they probably won't. So their next 3 games, Northern Colorado, Weber State, and Montana State. But NAU has played wise identical to ASU this season, which is even though ASU gets the tougher opponents, NAU has never been, recognized for what they do regarding sports. But they have been playing pretty good lately. I've been keeping a close eye on them. They're doing their thing this season. So regarding college basketball, we're definitely going to talk about that a lot more as March Madness gets closer. Definitely keeping tabs with U of A basketball as they look to keep their streak going, keep their hot streak going, and with Caleb Love leading the helm. So regarding college basketball in Arizona, lately the only thing you really hear is Caleb Love, and it's going to stay that way for a while with the way he's been playing lately. So that is it for episode 29, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We did have over 100 people come in. Make sure to like up the stream if you guys have not. If you guys missed this episode, hopefully you guys rewatch it. You could check it on any other platform that we pretty much have if you ever want to rewatch it. We'll be back at it next Friday. Time is to be determined. I know I say it's always 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, but it's always work that gets in the way. So with that being said, guys, thank you guys for tuning in for episode 29 of the AZ Sports Zone on the iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K. Next week, we got episode 30. It's already almost been 30 episodes since I joined the iSports Radio. I can't believe it. It's going by very, very fast. But next week, we'll talk about the Suns a lot more. We'll see if Jimmy Butler is a Phoenix Sun by then. Same thing with the Cardinals. We'll see if any news breaks out for the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks, as is kind of the dead period for them right now. And we will continue with college basketball. And before we go, big shout out to the people who are in the chat. Taryn, appreciate it, man. Yeah, today's show was amazing, and great show that you did earlier, by the way. Shout out to Ralph for coming in the chat as well. And shout out to everybody who was able to tune in and watch episode 29. We'll be back at it next Friday for episode 30 for the AZ Sports Zone. Once again, I'm your host, Alden K. See you guys next week, next Friday. Have a great week, guys. And I'm gone.